Soccer. The most popular sport in the world. With almost 4 billion fans and 250 million players, its presence can be found in every corner of the world. Players like Cristiano Ronaldo have close to $500 million, and some can make more than $100 million per year. Soccer's origins make it one of the oldest sports played by humans. Evidence shows that soccer was played during the 2500s BC in ancient Greece, although it was first said to be played in 255 to 206 BC in China. The game was called Chu. During ancient times, soccer was played more aggressively. There were no fouls or penalties as we see today. The point of the game remained similar: to score goals without using your hands. Over time, as human civilization evolved, soccer spread. It was played by the ancient Romans, and through them, it became popular throughout Europe. As mentioned earlier, soccer was not the exact same as we know it today. The aggressive aspect made it a mix of our modern-day soccer and rugby. Although, in the 1800s, England made the first soccer associations and set rules that set soccer and rugby apart. This was the foundation of the modern soccer that we play today. Soccer flourished throughout Europe after the modern founding in England. It spread to France, Italy, Germany, and became a regularity for the Europeans. In the late 1800s, British sailors introduced the sport to South American countries. In places like Argentina, Brazil, soccer was extremely popular. Other European countries introduced soccer to Africa, and several African countries began to play too. The first tournament was played during the year 1930 and is known as the First World Cup. The tournament hosted countries from Europe and South America, and even included 2 countries from North America. The First World Cup tournament was won by Uruguay, a South American country. Soccer's first wave of popularity had come. Of course, soccer had rules. 11 players are allowed to play on the field at once. The coach can switch out players during the game with permission from the ref. There can only be one goalkeeper, the player who stays near the goal and blocks any shots coming from the opponents. They can use their hands. The other 10 players are spread out on the field. They each have different intentions. The defenders try to get the ball from the opposing team when they try to shoot. The midfielders receive the ball and pass it to the forwards. The forwards try scoring goals. To score a goal, they must kick the ball into the opposing team's goal. At the end of 90 minutes, whichever team scored the most goals wins the game. However, the game has restrictions. If the ball is out of bounds on the long sides, the team that hadn't hit it out gets a throw-in. They get to throw the ball into the field with their hands from behind the out-of-bounds line. If your team hits the ball out of bounds on the line next to your goal, the other team gets a corner in the corner of the field. If the opposing team hits it out of bounds next to your goal's side, your goalie gets to take a goal kick. You aren't allowed to hurt other players either, of course. Hands cannot be used, either unless you're the goalie, as earlier mentioned. If you do not hurt others or use your hand, there are punishments. When breaking a rule, you first receive a yellow card. If you break another rule in the same game, you receive a red card. You cannot play for the rest of the game, and the next game your team plays in. When breaking a rule, the opposing team also gets a free kick or a penalty. If the foul took place in the goalie box, then the opposing team receives a penalty. Anywhere else, they get a free kick. As time passed, soccer continued to grow. As I mentioned earlier, soccer tournaments were held. Today, the World Cup is among the most important soccer events. The tournament is for all of the national countries. The Euro is another significant soccer tournament and is played by European countries. The Champions League is the most important soccer tournament for club teams and welcomes any soccer club. Through these tournaments, famous players have been noticed. Pelé, a retired soccer player, was one of the first soccer prodigies. Nowadays, players like Messi, Ronaldo, and Mbappe are highly respected amongst the soccer community. As well, non-professional soccer also grew. In lots of cities and towns, youth soccer games are played. In Palo Alto, we have Palo Alto Soccer Club. Kids from all over Palo Alto play together in teams. The teams practice 2 to 3 times a day and play games against other teams during the weekends. Here is a player and his opinions on the club.
How competitive is Palo Alto Soccer Club? How serious is your team when playing and practicing?
Palo Alto Soccer Club, I think, is pretty competitive. They always play to win. My team is also very competitive. We're in a really high league, and we're always trying to win, no matter what situation I'm given.
What do you think is the main purpose of the practices?
The main purposes of practices is always to improve, but it can also improve your running form, how you sprint, how you dribble with the ball, and your shots.
Have you benefited from the club? If so, how?
I've definitely benefited from the club. For example, my running form is now much improved, and then my shots are way more accurate and powerful.
How would you rate the quality of the club based on your experiences? Would you recommend others to join the club?
Yeah, I would rate the quality of the club. It's really high. I would definitely recommend others to join the club if they like soccer or not. There's always lower teams where you could play on and just have fun.
As we can see, soccer is an interesting history. Over time, the amazing sport has evolved to be loved by many.